Alright, this is my response video to a response video about comments that I made by the Boxing and Jedi Temple, aka Jay Cotto. This is my response to him. In this response video, these are what I'm going to cover as my topics, alright? He talked about various different topics, and for whatever reason, Jay Cotto, your video is no longer available. So I tried to base it off of what I heard before the video was brought down. So these are my key points that I'm going to get to before getting too deep into it. All right, why Floyd Mayweather fought tension, fighters who have won with broken hands, Mayweather's losses, orthopedics gloves, going up in weight but losing power. And I'm only going to go with one fighter because you brought up Pacquiao. And I'm going to actually get into the dynamics of how the hand works because I am a biomedical graduate. That is what my major is in. So the human anatomy is too easy to explain. So the first thing that I want to start off with in this is how we're going to do this format is I'm going to go with why Floyd Mayweather fought tension. The reason why Floyd Mayweather fought tension had nothing to do with brittle hands. It had nothing to do with anything. Just like the reason why he fought Conor McGregor. What it had to do with was tension was a very big name in Japan. And Conor McGregor was a very big name in the UFC. Mayweather is older. At the time that he fought tension, he was 42. At the time that he fought Conor, I believe he was 40 or going on 41. He might have been 41 by the time of the fight. So he fought them because he knew those would not be very competitive fights. And at his older age, it would be foolish of him to get in the ring with an Earl Spence, a Terrence Crawford, or any other young person in their prime at his age. It would be foolish. He knows this. So he picked fights that were smart for him for his age, that he could cash in on and not really be challenged like a young prime athlete would do in his sport. That's why he fought tension. That's why he fought Conor McGregor. Now, I'm going to get over to fighting with a broke hand. I'm going to give you just a few examples of what I mean by you can still fight with a broken hand. It's just the pain you have to fight through. As you said, you cannot. It hurts too bad. Fighters don't do it. Well, I'm about to nip that in the bud with recent fights and then a not so recent fight. But I'm trying to keep this within, and not only am I going to show you a boxers that have done it, but I'm going to show you a UFC fighter that's done it with not one broken hand, but two broken hands. So, first, we have Lomachenko, who just won fighting Corolla. Guess what? He broke his hand in that fight and still ended up knocking out Corolla. Then we had Wilder versus Areola, which is when he needed surgery. He broke his hand, still continued to fight with that broken hand and ended up knocking out Areola. Then we had Calzaghe versus Jeff Lacy. At the time, Jeff Lacy, left hook Lacy, was a monster, was feared, was a prospect. Calzaghe, if my memory serves correctly, actually had a broken hand before going into the fight, which means he fought with a broken hand before the fight even started and still won the fight by knockout against Jeff Lacy. Then we have Usman, who is now the new welterweight champion for UFC, fought a guy named Naia, I believe it was. And not only did he break one of his hands, he broke two of his hands and still fought on to win the fight with two broken hands. Now, as far as Mayweather having losses goes, you said 4 losses. I cannot think of any but one loss that was controversial. And me personally, I felt like Mayweather won that fight, and he definitely wanted the rematch where he dominated him. For those who don't know, Corrales is who I'm talking of. I know Jay Cotto would have known just by the reference that I made. The other 3, you're going to have to enlighten me who beat Mayweather, because no fights come to my mind that were close enough to say that Mayweather lost. Liking Floyd Mayweather, doing research was the next thing you brought up. Obviously, I know about Floyd Mayweather, and you can watch my videos, whereas I'm not the biggest Floyd Mayweather fan as far as his fighting career goes. So calling me a fan of Floyd Mayweather is just doing disjustice to my channel and my point of view. I like Floyd Mayweather personally, but as a fighter, to me, Floyd Mayweather, I do not see him as a gimmick fighter because once again, he went up multiple weight classes, won multiple multiple belts in those weight classes. So you can't call him a gimmick when he's beaten multiple champions. Now, where I do agree with you about Floyd Mayweather is, I do feel that Floyd Mayweather did have a tendency to fight fighters at the right time. In other words, he caught them as they were coming down the hill or before they were ripe. So I will agree with that. But you still can't take anything away from Mayweather because he was a good fighter. Can I say he's the greatest? No, because of the reasons I just named, I will never call Floyd Mayweather one of the greatest fighters that ever fought. Because in my opinion, to be the best, you have to beat the best when the best is the best. It means nothing to have the torch patched to you like when AJ beat Klitschko. That was just a passing of the torch. He beat an old man. Doesn't mean much. It wasn't a prime fighter. So that's my outlook on that. Now you bring up orthopedic gloves. Here's the thing about orthopedic gloves you have to understand. There are many different types of foam that go into boxing gloves. And not even just foam. You have horsehair gloves, which is considered a puncher's glove. Now, what you have to understand about the gloves are meant to protect your hands. They have to be whatever ounces you fight at, whether it be 10, 12, right? They have to be at a certain amount of ounces their weight. But here's the deal. The difference in the foam or hair, we'll use horsehair for an example, is the reason why punchers like horsehair is because the padding shifts. So in other words, after I throw so many punches with horsehair, I've now worn the padding off of my knuckles, so I'm hitting you closer to bare knuckle where the padding slides off the hand. So now the padding is shifted above, around, below, and to the side where I'm now getting my knuckles closer to your face. Whereas an orthopedic glove it's a chemical compost that they use that tries to make the foam resonate where it begins. So in other words, the padding doesn't shift. It stays because it's solidified in a way that it takes a lot more pounding to break down that foam to get your knuckles closer to the leather. So it does the opposite of what a horsehair glove would do. And that's why fighters with brittle hands, as you say, wear those to protect their hands. Because if they're hitting with bare knuckle or knuckle that's barely got padding on top of it with leather, they're more likely to hurt their hand. So therefore they have more padding to protect their knuckles. Now, the next thing you did was going up in weight, still knocking people out. Your example was Manny Pacquiao. And I'm about to kill this and prove my point. Manny Pacquiao was a devastating knockout artist. Devastating. Knocked people out. Until when? He went up to welterweight. At welterweight, he's only knocked 2 people out. Miguel Cotto, and he got a TKO on Lucas Matisse. That's it. Now, what I want you to do is do the research, like you claimed I haven't done, and look at how many fights Pacquiao's had between Cotto to Matisse, and then how he's had a fight after Matisse. Only 2 since turning welterweight, which means that, well, I'm not even going to tell you the amount of numbers, but if you look at his knockout ratio as being a welterweight, it's very low. Very low knockout ratio. Also, you could say, well, wait a minute, he has 3 because before he beat Miguel Cotto, he knocked out Ricky Hatton. No, Ricky Hatton was never a welterweight. Ricky Hatton was a blown up super lightweight, so that doesn't even count. He's only had 2 legitimate. And truth be told, Matisse should have never been up in welterweight, but he won a belt there, so I'll give you that. Pacquiao's got a TKO to Matisse, which if you don't want to count Floyd Mayweather's knockout on Conor McGregor, then you can't count Pacquiao's knockout on Matisse. The big difference here was McGregor was about to go. McGregor was getting the living shit beat out of him whenever the ref stepped in to stop it, to call it a TKO. And Matisse still might have recovered if they didn't step in. It wasn't 100% that he was gone. Whereas Conor McGregor had nothing left. He could not defend himself. He could no longer put on an offense or defense. So the ref had to step in because he was just getting hit nonstop. And it was only a matter of time before he went away. Now, that's just with Pacquiao. I could bring up numerous fighters who have went up in weight and lost power. They look void of power. When I say go up in weight, I'm not talking about one weight class, two weight class. I'm talking about repeatedly going up in weight. It's happened too many times that fighters, when they go up in weight too far, they look void of power. It happened to Pacquiao, and it's happened to many other fighters just like him. So that's my point with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather went up 5 different weight classes, if memory serves correctly, without me Googling this, because I want to do this legit. I just wrote down key points on my computer to bring up the fact of what your key points were so I could touch this in his response. So the same thing happened with Mayweather. As I have proven to you above, with 3 different fights from 3 completely different fighters, they continued to knock their opponent out with a broke hand, which is going to lead me into my next topic, how the hand actually works. Your hand is made of 27 bones. Very little thin bones that are easy to break. Your bones do not cause you to do this. In a boxing glove, you're already here. Your hand is already, without you even putting any pressure, the glove itself has your hand here. By pressure alone, how it's built. All you're doing is squeezing. Squeezing a little to clench your fist. That's it. It's naturally here in the glove. So, your hand's already in a bent conformity. It's already conforming to being bent to begin with. In the glove, just naturally sitting there with no pressure applied. Now, bones, as I just mentioned, do not cause anything to bend. Your muscles do. Your tendons connect the muscle to the bone. So when you break a bone, as long as it's like not a 3rd-degree fracture, like especially, we won't even get into that. We'll just stay strictly with the hands. I won't get into breaking out the skin and all of that. With the hands, okay? As long as the tendon does not separate, then the muscle can still contract the bone that is broken. As long as the tendon is connecting the 2 together, the hand will still close. The only thing that is going to stop you from throwing a hard punch is the pain. That's it. But as somebody who has fought before, like you claim you have, which I believe you, I fought amateur before and I have fucked my hand up. I can tell you, no matter how bad your hand hurts, after you throw enough punches, it'll go numb to where you're so hurt you don't feel the pain anymore. And you can fight through it, as the examples given above, the 4 that I gave you. And I can list many of fighters who have finished fights with broken hands and even won. Did not quit. It's a matter of grit. Now, I've already brought up the orthopedic glove. The main thing that I wanted to get back to, because I've already proven with multiple fights, and I could get multiple more, that you can still knock people out with a broken hand. I've explained how the hand works. The thing about Mayweather is, he could claim he has brittle hands all he wants. And yes, I believe he's injured his hand 4 different fights, if I remember correctly. 4 different occasions. You could say that he might be scared to throw punches, but that's your own mindset, okay? I can tell you, and you should know too from being a fighter, it doesn't matter. I'm not thinking about, am I going to break my head when I throw this punch? I'm not thinking about that. What I'm thinking about is beating this person. I'm not focused on the injuries that could occur. And if you focus on injuries that could occur, now you're not focused on the fight, and you're probably going to lose because your concentration is elsewhere. So my only point to this is, you could make the argument because Mayweather had brittle hands, that's why he quit fighting like Pretty Boy Floyd, which I disagree with. And I know Mayweather said it. But at the end of the day, when Mayweather's throwing them punches, the reason why he messed his hand up on 3 other occasions outside of the first one was because When he's throwing them punches, he's throwing to hurt the fighter he's hitting. He's throwing to stun them. He's throwing to pop them off balance. He's throwing to counter. He's throwing to win. It does not matter if he's going to fuck up his hand. Having a brittle hand only has to do with the damage that you're going to take. Has nothing to do with you throwing your punch. Your hand's not going to get fucked up till you throw it, if it's going to get fucked up. So my point is, if Mayweather was so conscientious and he was holding so much back on his hand not getting hurt, then it went and got fucked up 3 more times after the first time. Sure as hell when it got fucked up 2 more times after the second time. Sure as hell when it got fucked up 1 more time after the 3rd time. So my point is, having a brittle hand will not stop you from knocking somebody out. It will not make you lose a fight as long as you have the heart, determination, and grit to fight through the pain. Because you can fight just as good with a broken hand as you can with a working hand. And that's just the fact of the human anatomy. There's nothing there. Unless your tendon separates from your bone and muscle, either or, you're always going to be able to clench your fist. If you can clench your fist, you can throw the fist. And your hand is different than a broken leg, as you don't put weight on it. So it's much harder to walk on a broken leg because all your weight is being bear down on it. Therefore, you're putting something on something that's broken that can't stabilize your body to hold it up. Completely different injury. Hand injuries don't support weight. In fact, you could have a broken hand and it wouldn't even be hurt if you, I mean, it might be painful to clench it, but you could hold it closed. And as long as you don't hit nothing, that pain is going to be there, but it's not going to get much worse. It's just going to radiate through to either you get numb to it or you get on meds for it. But once again, I could bring up numerous people who have gone up too high in weight and have lost their power. That is the point. Mayweather stopped knocking people out not because of brittle hands, as he likes to say, but it was because of the fact he went too high up in weight and the power that he had in the lower weight classes was no longer there. Just like your example of Pacquiao, who I believe would have less than a 20% knockout ratio if you go off of just welterweight, which is no knockout artist. So, that's my response. For all those wondering who I'm talking to, I'm going to put a link in the bottom in the description so you can go straight to his channel. Hopefully his video will get put back up. Thank y'all for watching. This has been my response to Jay Cotto.